we don't want Maduro, we don't want Maduro or Chavez or whatever. Like what we want is real elections, real separate powers, real economic developments, like start producing our country and all that stuff. Like there's so many problems going on that it's not just about politics. It's everything.
One thing I would like to add, well, going again, one of the main things we would like to talk about is how human rights are being, affected in Venezuela. For example, we're here representing our fellow student friends. I was born and raised in Venezuela, and I keep in contact with all my friends, and for example, they tell me, hey, I graduate next year, but there's no job opportunities. I graduate, and then what? What's going to happen? Same thing. We go to the supermarket, and there's no food. We cannot buy chicken. You're in control of how much you buy, how much milk there is, and obviously, we are, people, they want to speak their mind out. They want to, protest about what's going on in Venezuela, and they simply, go out on the streets, to the streets peacefully, and they get attacked by government officials. So we're attacked by government officials, and this is we're being repressed. There is nobody can speak against the government because they get attacked, and that's the main thing. How can you call that a democracy when people cannot speak their mind peacefully? And for example, every time there's somebody who tries to speak about what the government is doing, they get repressed or ignored. Maria Corina, she's a senator in Venezuela, and we can say she's one of the very few who is part of the opposition, and she traveled all the way to Washington to be part of the Union of American States to speak her mind out. And we can say, since other governments are benefited by, for let's say oil in Venezuela, they prefer to say they don't see those damages, or they don't see that this is really going on, and pretty much everything she has said has been ignored. And what we really come here to do is, to ask, for example, our representatives, our senators say, to give us, help us expand, for example, our idea that, Venezuela, it's not what the government is portraying. In Venezuela, there's a huge issue in human rights, and nobody can speak against the government.
So I want to point out that the biggest Venezuelan community outside of Venezuela in the world is here in South Florida. The number of Venezuelan students in the major universities is also a big amount, especially for the international students. It's always on the top 3. The Venezuelan community in South Florida is big. Like my grandparents are realtors, Venezuelan business owners. We're trying to raise our families here. And we're planning to do some forums in the major universities like UM, FIU, FAU. We're trying to get in touch with people in Lane University. Also, Broward College, Palm Beach State College, and we're trying to organize ourselves as a big community and also as a student group.
So you have my business